What's up, guys? We have some extreme silly season news to go over today. It is that there's many things actually. It is that Clint Bowyer is staying in the number 14 Stewart-Haas Racing car next year in the Cup Series. Another, Harrison Burton is going full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in the number 20 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Another is Brian Pattie, currently crew chief for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the number 17, is not staying with that team next year. And a little bit of news not related to silly season is two NASCAR haulers have either caught on fire or had a crash within 24 hours of the other. But let's start with Clint Bowyer. Clint Bowyer is currently in his third year with Stewart-Haas Racing. He has 10 career Cup wins, 2 of them coming with Stewart-Haas Racing, both of them last year. And next year, he will be staying in that car. The 40-year-old, this announcement is coming out right before his hometown race at Kansas Motor Speedway this weekend, and I'm glad to see it because we need veterans, and he's really electric, and he has great personality for NASCAR. And it's nice to see him stay in great equipment. Obviously, he's in the round of 12. He advanced to the round of 12 this year in the playoffs, advanced to the round of 8 last year. So next year will be his 4th year in that car. And Stewart-Haas Racing, exciting to see that. It was alluded to for a while, though. Next, Harrison Burton. Yes, he currently drives full-time NASCAR Truck Series 18 truck. Next year, he's moving up to the NASCAR Xfinity Series full-time for Joe Gibbs Racing in that number 20 car. Yes, he is the fill-in for Christopher Bell, since Bell's moving up to the Cup Series for Levine Family Racing. Harrison Burton has done 6 Xfinity starts so far this year in the 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing, and he's did pretty decent, not really lately though, and he has 2 more scheduled for this year in that 18 for Joe Gibbs Racing. That'll be 8 total races he has done this year, and Dex Imaging has been the sponsor for all of his races this year, and they will be his primary sponsor for next year on the 20 Xfinity Toyota Supra for Joe Gibbs Racing. And we don't know exactly what races Dex will be the primary sponsor, but they will be completely just about all of the races. And the crew chief for Harrison Burton has yet to be announced. So obviously, Jason Radcliffe, the crew chief right now in the 20 for Xfinity for Christopher Bell, is moving up to Cup with Christopher Bell in the 95 for Levine Family Racing next year in 2020. I'm kind of skeptical because he hasn't done great in the Truck Series. He hasn't won any races yet in Truck Series, but he has been more promising in Xfinity, the few select starts he has had this year, than almost all of the races in the Truck Series this year. He currently drives the 18 trucks for Kyle Busch Motorsports, which is Toyota as well, and he's staying in the Toyota system, and Kyle Busch Motorsports is basically Gibbs and trucks, since Gibbs doesn't have a Truck Series team. More news is that Brian Pattie, currently crew chief for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the number 17 Roush Fenway Racing Cup Series car, will not return to that car next year, just like Ricky Stenhouse Jr. will not. Chris Buescher will be the driver of that car next year, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. will be going to JTG Doherty Racing next year. Still don't know what number, so Buescher and him basically essentially swapped rides, except we don't know Stenhouse's car number yet next year. And the crew chief for the 17 for Chris Buescher next year, Roush Fenway, has not been announced yet. So that's pretty interesting. And Brian Pattie, I believe he has 6 Cup Series wins as a crew chief. And 2 coming with both of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s only Cup wins in 2017, and 3 in 2012 with Clint Bowyer, and what was it, back in 2010 with Juan Pablo Montoya's 1 win with him when he was for Chip Ganassi Racing. In 2012, like I said, with Clint Bowyer, he was with Michael Waltrip Racing at the time. And more news about the haulers. Okay, so yesterday evening, Colleague Racing Hauler number 10 for Roush Chastain this weekend heading to Kansas. Chastain's going to be full-time in that ride next year. The driver of the hauler had a medical problem, and he crashed the truck. The other driver tried to take control of the truck, but it didn't work. It smashed through a guard rail pretty much down the hauler of a mountain, and the truck itself stayed right side up, but the trailer flipped over, and the cars inside the primary is completely destroyed. Same with the truck and the trailer, completely totaled. The two drivers have severe injuries, but they're not life-threatening injuries, and they have been brought to the hospital, and then they have been released, and they are at home. They have been sent home to recover at their houses. And Colleague Racing still says that they will have a 2-car effort at Kansas, including the 10 for Roush Chastain, but they have to build a whole new primary with their technical aligned partners, RCR. So we'll see how that works out. And within 24 hours of that Colleague Racing Xfinity hauler crash, a Cup Series hauler crashed for Ryan Preece and JTG Doherty's number 47 Cup Series team. It caught on fire. And that's really interesting how it caught on fire. Both drivers of the truck have been called okay. They have been checked out of the hospital. They're all fine. And their cars have had, like the cars in there have had quite a bit of damage as well. So they'll have to bring a new primary car to Kansas. And this is all heading to Kansas Motor Speedway, which is the race this weekend, doubleheader for Xfinity and the Cup Series. And so thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Glad everybody's okay there. And Bowyer staying at Stewart-Haas Racing's 14 in the Cup Series next year for his 4th year with that team, currently in his 3rd now, obviously. His first was 2017. He took over that car for Tony Stewart since he retired at the end of the 2016 season. Harrison Burton going to the 20 Xfinity Series car for Joe Gibbs Racing full-time next year in 2020, hashtag 20 in 2020. We'll see how he does. I don't know if this is the right choice. Definitely not Bell level. Bell had so much success in this car last year, and this year Eric Jones has had so much success in that 20 car in Xfinity in years past before Bell was in it. They were championship caliber teams. This is a championship winning car, and we'll have to see how he does. And of course, Brian Pattie not returning to the number 17 Roush Fenway Racing Cup car next year as crew chief. Same with Stenhouse, obviously not returning next year either. He's going to JTG while Buscher's going to that Roush number 17. We'll see who the crew chief for him is. Since that's not announced, Burton's crew chief isn't announced yet. He'll have extreme backing with Dex Imaging will be his primary sponsor next year, Burton. And that was his sponsor for all the Xfinity races this year as well. And he's had some Dex Imaging sponsors on his Truck Series rides this year too. So thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed, and bye-bye, guys.